this video, I'll share with you what I've learned about keeping my electronics charged while hiking. These principles apply the same if it's an overnight hike you're going on, a multi-day hike, or a through hike like New Zealand's 3,000 kilometre Te Araroa Trail, which I'm going to be hiking this coming season. The main electronics I typically take on a hike and which need charging are my phone, my headlamp and my camera. This video is going to get technical, however I'm not going to go too deep, and will list the main points in the description below so you can refer back to them later on. I've chosen one of my favourite desert hikes as the video backdrop. This is the Tongariro Northern Circuit, which I hiked over 4 particularly hot and windy days. There's a link to that series in the description below, so be sure to watch that next. The first thing I want to share with you before talking about backup battery power are ways to conserve your phone battery when you're out on the trail. The best way is no doubt to turn your phone off, but if you're like me and you want to use your phone as a camera, navigation device, an e-reader or a clock, that's not going to work. I compromise by keeping my phone on during the day and turning it off at night when I don't need it, except those times I do need to set the alarm for an extra early start. I've got an iPhone, so some of these points may not apply to Android phones, however they may have similar features that you'll be able to adapt. All the changes I mention are made in the iPhone's settings. One of the first things I did when I got this phone was to disable the always on display. Next, limit the frame rate by disabling ProMotion. This limits the high refresh rate to 60 Hz. Another critical tip for saving your battery is turn off auto brightness. Then, reduce background app activity so they're not working in the background. Your apps are working behind the scenes and constantly refreshing data so that you get your notifications on time without much lag. But having your notifications to social media constantly pinging in the background may not be your priority when you're out on the trail for days on end. This constant background activity can cause huge battery drain and use up your mobile data. Before you head out, why not spend 5 minutes checking which apps you've got on and deleting any old ones that you no longer use. Last on this list is disabling 5G on your phone. Irrespective of its speed advantage, the hardware components responsible for connecting to 5G networks will drain extra power. And if you're going out for multiple days and really need to conserve your power, putting your phone on airplane mode will help conserve the battery. Airplane mode stops your phone from continuously looking for service, as this constant searching will rapidly drain your battery. However, you're still able to take photos. Even if you're in an area that does have cell connectivity, keeping your phone in airplane mode will conserve your battery, and you can then check for messages or notifications at set times of the day. Say for instance at your lunch stop or when you're on top of a mountain where you think there'll be cell cover. Airplane mode works for me as I'm always taking photos and videos with my phone. Sometimes an animal or bird appears unexpectedly and the phone is the quickest camera to grab. This is how I managed to film this kiwi on the Milford track, as well as this cheeky South Island robin, who when I turned around was busy posing in front of my GoPro. The temperature will also impact the health of your phone and other electronic batteries. I know from experience, as I've left my phone out in the heat by mistake, which caused it to shut down, but the cold doesn't do it any good either. If it's freezing out, keep your electronics, or at least the batteries, close to your body, say in an inside pocket of your coat or inside your sleeping bag at night. If you're finding this video useful, make sure to subscribe because I make similar videos to this every week. When I'm backpacking, I use a power bank with an integrated solar panel to keep my electronics charged. The size power bank you need will depend on your own requirements, such as what electronics you'll be charging and then possibly recharging over a lengthy trip. A power bank used on an overnight trip is not going to need as much capacity as a multi-night one. I'm not making any recommendations here, but rather just sharing the details of what I use as a way to get you thinking about what you might need. There's plenty of different power banks available, as well as loads of in-depth reviews on them all. My favourite power bank for multi-day hikes is a Sunsaver Classic with 16,000 mAh capacity. It operates from 0 to 45 degrees Celsius which covers most temperatures that I'm likely to encounter in New Zealand. I particularly like this power bank for its integrated solar panel, as it will recharge itself while hanging off the back of my pack. How quickly it recharges will depend on the angle of the sun, and on those days where the entire day is spent in a shady forest, it's not going to be charging much, so I make sure when I stop for a break or at the end of the day to position it facing the sun. This power pack that I'm using to charge my batteries has a little solar panel on it, so that'll be recharging itself as I go along. If you're also planning to walk at Te Araroa, I have a playlist just on preparing for that hike, which I've linked to in the description below. It's really important if you're a backpacker to think about how long the power bank will take to charge when plugged into mains power. My unit takes about 8 to 10 hours when plugged in, which is okay for those times when I'm in town overnight and staying at a hostel, but it is a very long time. Stopping briefly at a cafe or just having it plugged in while using a shared camp kitchen is not going to add up to much. Solar charging of my unit will take 80 plus hours, and it's a while since I've seen that much sun in New Zealand. Surprisingly though, even on a cloudy day, it's still solar charging as it swings off the pack and even as I'm turning in all directions on a track. I took it bike packing on the Mountains to Sea cycle trail. It was bungeed to my saddlebag, splattered with mud, and I spent the day riding in and out of the forest through misty rain and only the occasional bit of sun, and it still charged. I've no way of measuring how much, but it was enough to recharge my phone. As a very rough guide, power banks with low milliamp capacities typically range from 1000 to 5000 milliamps. These smaller, more portable power supplies would be ideal if you only sometimes boost power. A median capacity bank would be 7000, which will charge your phone and even headphones over a day, and a larger bank is 10,000 milliamps and above, and if needed, that will charge your tablet or laptop. For example, my iPhone 14 Pro Max battery is just over 4000 milliamps, so my 16,000 milliamp power bank will be able to recharge it up to 3 times. I do use a lot of battery on my phone as I take so many video clips. To work out what size power bank I need though, it's not only my phone that I recharge, but also the other electronics like my head torch and camera. Before leaving town, I make sure everything is fully charged, and I also take several spare charged batteries for my GoPro camera. The trade-off with the larger power bank is the bulk and weight, my one being 365 grams, but I know I'd be massively disappointed if I was unable to capture my trips on camera. You can get even larger power banks of 20,000 and above, which are more suited if you're staying in one spot and not lugging them around in your backpack. The larger the power bank, the more expensive and heavier they are. If any of the things I've mentioned are completely new to you, let me know in the comments below. I'll explain where I can, and if I'm not able to, there may be someone else in our freewheeling Kiwi community who knows more, and in that way, we'll all learn together. For me, I enjoy spending time in nature most when I'm not distracted by devices and their requirements. It's a delicate balance between remaining present while also recording the experience to share with others, and for that reason there's plenty of days that I don't film or I simply cut the filming short. When I walk Te Araroa this season, I'm going to be sharing daily vlogs on all my social media channels, including here on YouTube Shorts. If you'd like to keep up to date with where I'm at, head over to my website, freewheelingkiwi.com, and there you'll find links to all my channels. And while you're there, sign up to the Adventure newsletter. That way you'll keep up to date with all the good stuff. Thanks so much for your time. I really do appreciate it, and hope to see you out there one day in some way on the trail.